Can everybody see okay? Awesome. So I came into the property this morning. It's super clean. Thank you so much. It's super organized. Thank you so much. It was so fun to see the parking lot full today. Thank you so much. So we're all very aware of this thing called the coronavirus, yes?
Yes.
We're all very aware that decisions have been made that have destroyed the country in a big way, yes? Awesome. This is not about who is president right now. It doesn't matter because both sides have taken part in this virus. We're all clear on that?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is totally bipartisan. This is about the virus, and this is about this property, and this is about my world around this. So I love to study biology. I'm not a biologist and I'm not a doctor, but I love to study this stuff. It's part of what I base my life off of, and this is part of what we base the company off of, right? So, the virus. Everybody has seen this little guy, right? With all the spikes on it. We got people who are even so proud of it, they're wearing it on their shirts. I watched one walk out just a little bit ago. This virus has flooded the world because of one particular thing, and I'll let you guys decide what and how to finish this. So think about that while we're talking through this. So this virus, unbeknownst to a lot of people, is not a living organism. Does anybody know that? You did?
I heard it.
You heard it. It's not a living organism. So we're clear on that? So this is a virus. All right, so what this virus needs to survive is a single-celled organism. So we're going to call this bacteria. This bacteria is a single-cell organism. We're all clear on that? That means it's one single cell. It's an amoeba. Has everybody heard of that? Awesome. So this this virus floats around, splatters, gets touched, however you want to talk about it, passing around. Like honeybees pass around pollen, right? It gets passed around all over the place, but it cannot become active until it comes in contact with Mr. Bacteria, or single-cell organism, okay? So this single-cell organism is 0.04 microns. This virus is 0.02 microns. A micron is, I want to say, and I could quote this wrong, so do your own research. I think it's 1/100th of the size of a hair, or 1/1000th the size of a hair. It's extremely small. To look at a virus, you need a very special microscope. To see a bacteria, you don't need a special microscope. That's the difference in size, okay? I wish I remembered the names, but I don't. So that would be like double the size of Nate. So Nate can easily walk through this door right now, right? He fits just right. But if you double the size of Nate's, he going to fit so easily through that door? It's not. So the masks that we typically wear around, everybody knows the blue nurse masks? Those are designed to stop which one? The bigger one. They're designed to stop bacteria. So she's got one on right now. They're designed to stop bacteria. So if you have a mask on that's designed to stop bacteria, what's it stopping all day long every day? Bacteria. So what's being caught in your mask is bacteria. What happens if this little virus comes floating along and nails your mask?
It feeds.
It's gonna grab hold of the bacteria.
It's going to grab a hold of the bacteria if it doesn't get through the mask. So good job. So if it doesn't make it through the mask, which there's a high probability it won't because it gets stuck on something, it will come into contact with your bacteria. And you will have a living, breathing hive of coronavirus or any virus on your face. This is the stuff that they're not teaching. They're all about the control though. They're all about telling you you can and can't until, and they're not teaching you about wearing masks. How many of you have seen people wearing these ski masks that are designed to protect you from the sun? They have zero designation to stop any airflow whatsoever. As a matter of fact, they don't want to stop airflow because they want you to ski in them and they want you to fish in them to protect you from the sun. But as long as you got something covering your face, we're good. Total and complete bullshit. It's all about the control, and it's all about taking the freedom from this country. And it won't have it. I know what the laws are. So, does anybody in here believe that North Carolina has a law that you have to wear a mask? It's a mandate. Does anybody in here know that a mandate is not a law? It is unconstitutional, and it is not a law. Now, they're going to say, well, it's constitutional if there's a pandemic. They cannot prove this is a pandemic. The news is fake. We can't trust anything that comes at us through the news. I don't care what news channel it is. You cannot trust it. You must verify the data for yourself. Secondarily, you cannot trust the government. I'm sorry, but there's not a person alive right now that says, you know what, I trust everything the government says. If they do, they're completely asleep. The government is for the people, by the people. All right? You guys can pipe up and say anything you want to hear at any time. It's for the people, by the people. We have to take it on ourselves to decide what is right and what is wrong. The CDC recommends that you wear a mask. That's all they can do is recommend you wear a mask. I recommend that you decide whether you want to follow the CDC's guidelines or not. If it makes you feel comfortable wearing a mask, you should wear a mask. Miss Gale just had a knockdown, drag-out fight with the floor, right? And got pretty beat up. And her immune system might be compromised right now. And I would actually recommend that she wears a mask to protect herself from potential infestation of something of the sort. Regardless of just the virus, just it's good for her to be in a state of health right now as she rebuilds herself. So there's times we need to be smart, guys. We need to have common sense about things. But we also need to know what the laws are, because they're slowly being taken away from us, and the boiling frog is slowly boiling. And we're going to wake up one day, we're going to trust everything, and all of our freedoms are going to be gone. All right? So that's how that flow of information goes. It goes from a mandate to they have to prove it's a pandemic. They cannot prove it's a pandemic right now. There's 400 supposed 1,000 people that have died. We have other things that kill 300,000 people a year, such as malpractice with doctors and misdiagnosed medications from pharmaceuticals, but you never hear about that, right? And we don't even know that the 400,000 is accurate. It's just people who have passed away from COVID being in their bloodstream. Doesn't mean they died from COVID. COVID is in meat. COVID is in all kinds of strains. It's even in vaccines. They even give it in vaccines to help produce an antibody in other vaccines. Nobody knows this though because nobody studies it. We just believe what we hear in the fake news. So, if this virus reaches the bacteria in your mask, what is the most detrimental thing you can do? Touch it.
Your mask.
We've got all these recommendations of wearing gloves. Gloves are no different than your skin if you touch your mask. The designation behind gloves is so surgeons can go into surgery and not get what's in the surgery on their gloves. Do they ever hell no, they don't touch their masks. They glove up, somebody pops the gloves on, they go in, they do their work, and guess what? Their gloves get taken off and those gloves go in the trash can and nothing ever touches anything. That's the design behind gloves. Guys, they don't work if you walk around and touch everything and touch your mask. But nobody tutors anyone on this stuff. So, if we're going to wear a mask, that's your God-given American freedom rights, and I'll support you 1,000%. But we're not going to require other people wear masks around here. It's not legal, it's not America, and it's not free will. And we're a country that stands on freedom. We have laws as well, and if this becomes an absolute constitutional law, which they would have to amend the Constitution for it to become a law, then we'll then we'll require it at our properties, okay? So if you would feel safe wearing a double mask, great. What I would highly recommend is KN95 or a KN100. They're the only masks that work. You could hear it as a K95 or KN95 or a K100 or a KN100. This means it stops 95% of viruses. This means it stops 100. Okay, so then the white ones, they cup your face real good. if you truly want protection and want to protect others, that's the mask you're wearing. These fishing masks and the masks like Nanny's wearing and the masks like John's wearing, they do absolutely nothing but catch your bacteria. Now, what they will do, now let me explain this, what they will do. They will catch your spit, and this is what the CDC is hoping for. If you walk around like Daffy Duck, blah, 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 and you're spitting all over the place, and you have the virus, you will transmit it to wherever that falls. And the virus will stay alive in your saliva for a period of time, depending on whether it's in the sun or whether it's cool. Everybody's clear on that? The design behind any mask is to slow down the expulsion of spit. Okay? So that is the only benefit to wearing a mask, is it slows down the expulsion of spit. But it will speed up your deterioration of your immune system by wearing your mask. That's absolute fact. Your immune system is designed to take things in through the sinuses or through the mouth, go over your tonsils, and your tonsils are a very, very unique piece of your body that starts the pharmaceutical system inside your body, preparing it for any kind of bacteria or virus that might enter the body. That's why God put the tonsils where she put the tonsils, he put the tonsils, to flow over the food and our drink, flow over it so they can sense anything that's going on and automatically create an immunity to take care of that thing. Does that make sense? So when we're wearing a mask all day, every day, and we're constantly bombarding the system with new bacteria because the bacteria mutates as it's in your mask, then it rolls over your tonsils, and guess what? You're going to end up with a problem eventually. So I highly recommend that when you're by yourself during the day, take your mask off and let yourself breathe some clean air, okay? It's very important. So we're very clear that when a virus makes a bacteria, it becomes what? Active, live. When you touch your mask and there's bacteria on your mask, is there a chance there's a virus in there? Absolutely. Don't fiddle around with your masks, especially when you're around other people. I don't see any way with it. We're always fiddling with our masks. It's always going to be on our hands. That's why they say wear a mask and wash your hands every 10 minutes. Or take the stuff that's on the wall, the chemical sanitizer. And whether you like it or not, that sanitizer's getting in your blood. And can you guys imagine that's good for you? No. All right? So, all of this being said, I'm going to get back to the most detrimental thing that's happening right now. Does anybody finish this for me? Fear. Our body is the greatest pharmacy in the world, in the universe. It's the greatest pharmacy known to anyone. Pharmaceutical companies are constantly attempting to copy what our body produces. Because if we have a receptor for it, that means our body produces it. Just a fun one, cannabinoids. Cannabis, if we didn't have receptors for cannabinoids, we wouldn't feel it if you smoked weed. But because our body produces cannabinoids, we have receptors for cannabinoids. Does that make sense? So, we have receptors for fear. And what does fear produce in the body?
Cortisol.
Produces cortisol and it produces adrenaline. And it's only meant for the sympathetic fight or flight response. The lion gets up and chases you, you go into cortisol and you go into adrenaline, and all the blood leaves the organs and goes to the limbs, and you get to run away from that lion. But it's utilitarian. You're supposed to stop, go back to rest and rebuild, which is parasympathetic, and go into a state of rest and rebuild. Cortisol goes away, adrenaline goes away, serotonin starts to come back in, and you start to feel happy again, right? But that's not what's happening. The media is ruining this country day by day. It's killing us by using our own minds against us. It's brainwashing everyone, from our children with our social media and those phones we stick in front of their faces, to ourselves and our social media and the phones we stick in front of our faces. Did anyone notice how the media stopped even talking about the coronavirus when the presidency happened? Those bastards will chase whatever keeps you in front of that screen. And you better believe their intention is to brainwash you. Anything that is in fear is in what? Control. If I can keep you afraid, I can keep you in control. So I want you guys to find and search yourselves about where you're in fear of not only the virus, but the state of the country. And release yourself from that fear. You're a free human being. This is a free country. We need to stand up for our freedom and our rights. This is a government for the people, by the people, and that's not what's happening. Okay? So, I have asked our construction company, I've told them the same thing, and I've asked them to please get fresh KN95 masks when they enter a unit of one of our resident clients. We're entering their space, we need to respect their space, okay? So if I go into Miss Johnson's room and she's an elderly woman, we need to respect that space and they need to put on a fresh KN95 mask. They'll be wearing gloves and they won't be fiddling with their masks. We have a clear understanding about that. When they go into the next unit, they're gonna put a fresh mask on. We're going to treat this with education, and we're going to treat this the way it should be treated, not this carelessness that the government has just flooded everybody with. So is the media. So, when you guys are doing your thing in your normal day-to-day life, I'm going to let you decide whether you wear a mask. It is your freedom and your God-given right. It is not the government's place to tell us what we need to do with our own health. That is not why the government is there. You guys need to decide that. You need to do your own research. You need to find out more about the virus and what's going on out there. Find out why it affects people. Okay? 94% of all elderly people that get it get over it. 98 point some percent of everybody that's 55 years or under get over it. It's no different than and I need you guys to do your own research on this, but a bad flu is no different than the coronavirus. They say African Americans are more susceptible to it. It's a matter of health and wellness, guys. It's a matter of health and wellness. If you live in a state of fear, I guarantee you you're going to get it because you attract what you're afraid of. And if you get it, it's going to be worse. If you live in a state of abundance and a state of joy and a state of peace and a state of conscious, what's the word I'm looking for? Self-confidence that you are health and you are wellness and that you can take anything that comes on, 4 or 5 days you'll be over it. I've had it and a huge portion of my staff has had it. Okay? So please do your own research. Please understand it from a place of certainty so you don't have scarcity around it. Any questions?
Where do we get those masks?
These are harder to get. Why are they harder to get? Because they're all getting funneled to the medical world. Okay? They're getting funneled to the medical world. And so the KN95s and the KN100s are tough, especially the KN100s. But we're going to find some to make sure that our guys are well protected going into these units. So double up on a mask doesn't double up on the power of the mask. It's just like putting 2 chain link fences together. It might have a tiny bit more of a chance of stopping something coming in, but the mask will not protect you from getting the virus. It just keeps you from exploiting spit. If you look at the CDC website, there was one point in time when they said that the virus is aerosol, meaning that it travels like an aerosol. They came back after 6 months, pulled that off the CD website and said, we were wrong. Somebody wasn't supposed to post that, and they did. It was literally their excuse for shutting the country down. It is not an aerosol. It can only travel through spit particles. Doesn't mean that if I'm standing there with Nate and I spit on him, that he's not going to get the virus. It just doesn't travel around through the air like an aerosol. Okay? So go study these things, guys. Get up to date on it. Follow it. Do not believe what you hear. Go find the scientists that are telling you what's true about this on YouTube that have no reason to lie one way or another, and listen to multiples of them and find out where the common denominator of truth really resides. Okay? Your body is the greatest pharmacy on the planet. The way you eat, the way you drink, the way you treat yourself, the toxins you take in, whether it be smoking or alcohol or things like that, do everything in moderation. Exercise. Do the things that will keep this virus from being in your world. Okay? Your mind is the greatest weapon you have against it. Do not be in a state of fear. Be in a state of abundance, power. All right? Any questions?
It's a statement. You have a 9:30 Zoom session project status?
Thank you guys. So as I said before, follow your own recommendations. The CDC recommends that you wear a mask. I would not tell you don't wear a mask. I'm telling you, you're a free American. Exercise your right to do as you wish. And do care about the other people around you. If you're in the presence of an elderly person that you feel that you need to put your mask on, put it on. All right? That's all. Be very cognizant of how we touch our face and where we touch. That's all. Okay? Thank you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.